story of the resurrection is a story of incredible power. So we're talking today about power. And I think that power is one of the great needs that humans have. We want power. We want power sometimes with. We want sometimes power over. We want to be able to control our lives. We want the power to be able to do what we want to do. Now, most people have pretty good intentions for the kind of lives that they want to lead. We know, generally, the kind of people we want to be. We think about the kind of relationships we'd like to have. We want good things. We just seem to lack the power. We just somehow can't seem to do the good stuff that we want to do. You know, Paul himself would cry out in one of his letters, the good that I want to do, I don't, but the bad that I don't want to do is what I do. Paul recognized the lack of power that he had over his own life. We just somehow can't seem to fulfill our best intentions, and life in the process kind of trips us up. You know, there's this guy, a speaker named Charlie Shedd. He's a great speaker, but before he had children, he used to do a talk entitled The 10 Commandments for Raising Perfect Children. Then he had one child, and he changed it to 10 Hints for Parents. Then he and his wife had another child, and he changed it to a few tentative suggestions for fellow strugglers. Then they had a third child, and he just quit doing the talk altogether. We may have these plans for ourselves and for our lives. We may have these visions of who we will be. But somehow they often, in the process of living daily lives, just don't get translated into who we become. Who we start off thinking we will be ends up being simply who we want to be, and doesn't go any further. We, at times, lack the power to be who we want to be and to do what we want to do. Now think back 2,000 years ago. The disciples had a dream. The followers of Jesus had a dream about the incredible thing that was going to happen. As they're journeying along through the land of Israel, healing the sick, casting out evil spirits, and proclaiming that the time of God's favor is at hand, they were just filled with this sense of power. Anything was possible. Anything was possible. Then came the moment that shattered them as their teacher, their rabbi, their friend was laid behind a stone. Now, all of the dreams, all of the visions are gone. The only thing that's left is fear. All the good that they planned on doing, that they thought that they had begun and thought would never end, came crashing down around them. And they thought it was over. It's done. It is finished. Except they did not take into account the power of God and God's good desire to overcome all of his enemies. And the Word makes it very, very clear that the greatest enemy of God is death itself. Now, maybe in the backs of their minds, or maybe remembering a theological lecture they once received, they thought about God overcoming death. But the reality that they faced as their master, as their friend lies in a tomb, the reality just does not match any theological lesson they might have once been through. And so they see death. God sees life. So it's no wonder that we could not be victorious. We couldn't even see the possibilities. But God did, and God does. And so, Jesus of Nazareth was raised from the tomb. Raised like you and me, alive, flesh and blood. You remember he told Thomas, put your finger in the holes in my hands. This is not a ghost we're dealing with here. This is not some phantom image standing before them. This is real, live matter before them. Touch me, he says. And they do. He is alive. But more than that, he's alive forevermore. It's not like the raising of Lazarus, which was only temporary. Lazarus would again endure the sting of the grave. This is it. This is power. But, and here's where we sometimes need to be very careful. We confuse our term power with two concepts. Power with or power over. And God works on power with. God's power comes from God's partner with the creation that he has made and set that creation to life. So in that power, death is conquered. No longer will the grave have the last word. No longer will death have the last word. This is God's victory. This is God's victory for God. And the last enemy to be destroyed, the word says, is death itself. But here's the neat thing. God's victory is our victory. We can live because he lives. We can know joy because he has given it. We can experience life in all its fullness because he has given it to us. We can have this gift. And that's exactly what it is. It is a gift. Say, because we don't do anything for it. It's been done already. God's victory is our victory simply because God loves us. No other reason. All we can do, all we have the power to do, is receive it. To open our hearts to receive new joy, new hope, and new life. Now, what is this new life that we're called into? Some people know how to live it. Some people don't. Take however you are hardwired, because you are made by the hand of a loving God. Take however you are hardwired, strip away the stuff that holds you back. For example, fear. Biggest thing that holds people back from life is fear. Yeah. Now, question whether the fear is real or not. For example, I will never go bungee jumping, and personally I don't think that that's the life that God calls me into. I could try to conquer the fear, but I don't really see the point of it. However, imagine Martin Luther King staring death every day in his ministry, in his work. He could have let the fear hold him back and stop him from what he was called to do, but he didn't. He lived the life that was given to him. Now, some people will be prone to a more adventurous life than others. And that's okay. The point is, though, that the life that we're called into is an adventure because God calls us into it. See, God never calls us to settle. God never calls us to just sit on our laurels for the rest of our life and wait for that moment in heaven. God calls us to experience it here and now in all its fullness. So, whether it is exciting or not so exciting, it is going to be an adventure. If you're not on an adventure of discovery, then I'm going to guess you're not living life. If you're not on an adventure of discovery, you are not living the life that God has promised to us. Now, I got a pastoral message here for you as well. The nice thing about all this is given by God. It's a free gift, a birthday gift to you all. Happy birthday, everybody. We don't have to do anything. And there, think about the weights that are sitting on your shoulder today. Think about those things that you may carry with you. Is it fear? Is it unresolved grief? Is it anger? Is it sorrow? What are those things that rest upon your shoulder that weigh you down? Because those are the things that Jesus has promised in your new life to take away from you, so that you might have life in all its fullness. All we have to do is receive the gift. We do not have to work for it. We cannot earn it. There is nothing that we can do to make God love us more. There is nothing we can do to make God love us less. Here's the story of the resurrection. God's power into our lives as a free and open gift for us to receive. So, are you laden with stress? Everyone give me a show of hands. Who experiences stress in their lives? Unnecessary stress. When I saw there was a few tentative and a couple of... Well, I'm here with good news. You don't need it. You can let it go. You don't need to carry it. God's taking care of it for you. God has given you, first of all, that gift of new life, and second of all, the gifts to fulfill His purpose for you. And again, you don't have to earn it. It's just given to you freely. It's handed to you. Now, I'm not going to say that life itself, in the midst of this, it is happy, joy. No, that's not realistic. But on the other hand, so often the burdens that we bear are burdens that we have put upon our own back. They are stuff that we have tossed over our shoulder and believe that we cannot let go of. And the longer we hold on to them in a strange, sick way, the more precious these things become to us. But God is there every step of your journey saying, your yoke is heavy, mine is light. Your burden is heavy, mine is not. Let me take yours. Let me take your burden from you. Let me wipe away those things that are tying you down, that are holding you. And let yourself experience a freedom that's beyond your imagining. A freedom not to do whatever you want, whenever you want, but the freedom to live, to truly experience life in all its fullness. We don't need to carry heavy baggage. We just need to hold an open heart, to be ready to receive His gift, and to be ready to hear Him speak into that open heart, saying, my child, here's where I'd like you to go. And don't worry, it might be new, it might not be comfortable, but I'm there. I am there for you, and you will get through, and not only will you survive it, you will thrive within it, because, my child, that is my will for your life. The resurrection